Who are you?
Who am I? I'm a nice guy. That's why I said when I eventually leave my body, I don't want someone to say, oh, he was the #1 real estate agent. It would be the nicest compliment to say, what a nice guy Chris Cortazzo was.
Chris Cortazzo is Coldwell Banker's top real estate agent in the world, with more than $1.5 billion in sales. And he's only been selling homes in Malibu, his hometown, and other affluent areas in Southern California since 1994. He also starred in the first season of Bravo's $1 Million Listing in 2007.
Everyone wants to know the secret to my success, and it's just a lot of hard work, and it's integrity.
But there has to be something more than that, because a lot of people work really, really hard. A lot of people are dedicated. A lot of people are working 24/7.
Right.
What is it about you that you really think is the secret to your success here? Is it that most of the other real estate agents aren't from Malibu?
Integrity is critical. If you have integrity and you have the reputation, everything else will follow through. And no deal and no commission is as important as my reputation.
How did you get into real estate?
I got into real estate because I worked with this famous photographer by the name of Forbes, and he photographed every celebrity or notorious person in the world. And I was working on every shoot, and everyone knew I was born and raised in Malibu. And they said, well, Chris, where should I buy a home? You know Malibu so well. And I'd say, well, what's your criteria? And before I even got into real estate, I would guide them into these different areas, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off and I said, I should go into real estate.
Do you remember that very first sale of yours? Can you take us back to that day and what that was like for you and why it inspired you to continue down this path?
I do remember my first sale. I was actually with Herb and one of his clients, Richard Gere.
Were you a real estate agent at that point?
I was.
Okay, just making sure. You were a full-fledged.
I was. And there was a discussion whether this house was still there or there was a rumor that it burnt down. And I said, I just kayaked by it 3 days ago. The house is standing and it's for sale for $5 million. So I showed up with the client, showed him the house. The business manager came along, liked the house. It was my first sale. It was the easiest transaction in the entire world. I didn't realize that real estate was going to be so challenging from that moment on.
What was your most memorable sale, aside from your first one? Was there some sale where you thought, really, did this just happen?
Well, there's one story that I could share with you that my clients had a pawn shop, and they had this dog named Margot, who was an attack dog. And I didn't realize I opened the house up and walked through the whole house, turning on the lights, opening doors, and I called my assistant, and she said, oh my gosh, the client's on the phone. You got to get out of the house. You're not in the house. And I said, I'm in the house, and I was at the bar. And I was panicking. I was crawling up on the counter.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And they connected me to the client, and they said, get out of the house. And I just remember crawling up on this counter going, it's my birthday. And I had a choice of whether to try to make it out the front gate or run to the garage where she was fortunately sleeping. And you know in those movies when you're running down
dog.
And you're going in slow motion trying to get, and she woke up and she was running across a 3-car garage as I was running down the hallway. I just closed the door as she hit the door.
You're kidding.
No, but if I tried to make it out the front gate, I could have been mauled. So that was a memorable story, real estate.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but obviously you got out okay, and I guess
I have a little bit of a limp.
So back to you personally, what was the real turning point in your career?
I think in 2000, I would say, I had 7 escrows in January, and in that 1 week, all 7 fell out. And most people would stand back and say, oh, this is not my year, I should take this year off, or maybe real estate's not for me. The way I was brought up, everything happens for a reason, and I turned every one of those failures into an advantage, and it turned out to be my best year. It was the first year I was the #1 agent in Malibu, and I was probably at that time 3rd in the company. And it's just amazing the power of thought and how I turned a negative into a positive. And that was my turning point in my career. Well, there's another example, and I don't want to cry on camera, but I lost my dad in 2009, and it was the most trying year. I mean, it just seemed like the world was falling apart. It was a devastating event for me, and I was completely winded, and my mom was hurt in the process, and so it was just, my whole universe collapsed. And my business manager came in and said a week later and said, Chris, you have to get back to work.
Jump right back in.
You have to get back to work. Mm-hmm. You know, Rome is going to crumble. I have all these people that I employ, and everyone depends on me, and you have to get back to work. And I picked up the pieces, and I just forced myself to go into it. And, you know, when your universe collapses at a moment like that, and you can pick yourself back up and complete what you're good at, and put your energy into different areas, it really helped me. And I think when you have an experience like that, and you can pick yourself up, you're that much stronger. And that's what my dad would have wanted anyway. But that was an example.
And now he's here cheering you on.
He's really
as number
happy.
One.
Yeah. He never saw me as number one, but he was proud of me on every sale or whatever I did.